The Matthews football family. There are plenty of other families who have strong NFL ties, but I challenge you to find a family with larger NFL roots than that of the Matthews. Whatever you're thinking, I guarantee you're not expecting what I'm about to tell you. Let's take a look. The most well-known player in the family is probably Clay Matthews, so let's begin there as our starting point. Clay Matthews was selected in the first round of the NFL draft in 2009 by the Green Bay Packers. He would immediately make his presence felt as a pass rusher, gaining 10 sacks as a rookie to go along with 17 tackles for loss and forcing a fumble. About the only thing that he was missing was an interception on the stat sheet. Well, in year 2, he took care of that. He snagged one interception and turned it into a touchdown for good measure. Add on a career-high 13.5 sacks and 18 tackles for loss, and throw on 2 more turnovers in the form of forced fumbles, and you've got Clay Matthews' first-team All-Pro 2010 season. He would finish second in Defensive Player of the Year voting, losing out to Troy Polamalu. While his second year would be the best season of his career statistically, he would go on to help the Packers win a Super Bowl in 2011, which I'm sure he found to be just as satisfying. The rest of his 11-year NFL career would be filled terrorizing opposing quarterbacks, including a solid 8-sack season in his final year, where he served as a pass-rushing mercenary for the Los Angeles Rams, his only season outside of Green Bay. Clay Matthews finished his career with 1 All-Pro selection and 6 Pro Bowls, and as a Super Bowl champion. As previously mentioned, Clay Matthews wasn't the only one in his family to play professional football. He had a brother play in the NFL as well, Casey Matthews. Though Casey wasn't anywhere as successful as his brother. At 3 years younger than his older brother, Casey Matthews was drafted into the NFL during the 4th round of the 2011 NFL Draft by the Philadelphia Eagles. Playing middle linebacker, Casey would last just 4 years in the pros, totaling up 81 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, and 1 forced fumble in his career. Following his time with the Eagles, he would sign a contract with the Minnesota Vikings. However, a hip injury would place Casey on injured reserve, and he would not play in the NFL again. All in all, playing in 64 games over 4 years, starting 15 of those games, it isn't a bad career for a 4th round pick. Now, before we move on to our next member of the Matthews football family tree, let's take a peek back at Clay Matthews' card, because he isn't just Clay Matthews. He's actually Clay Matthews III, which means we got a couple more Clay Matthewses to get through. We'll start with Clay Matthews Jr., who is Clay and Casey Matthews' father. Just like his son would be 31 years later, Clay Matthews Jr. was taken in the first round of the NFL Draft in 1978. Staying within the family tradition, Clay Matthews played linebacker at the pro level, doing so for an insane 19 years across his career. The first 16 years was with the Cleveland Browns, and the final 3 was with the Atlanta Falcons. His rookie season, he would only start 2 games, but for nearly the entirety of the next 2 decades, he would be a full-time starter. During that time, he would lead the league in tackles 3 separate times, including a career-high 128 in 1981. Though his best season as a pro would come in 1984, as he recorded 126 tackles, 12 sacks, and 3 forced fumbles on his way to second-team All-Pro honors. Though, honestly, the dude was a stud throughout his entire career, even into his later years, which deserves kudos because linebacker isn't the easiest on the body, especially back in the 80s and 90s. For example, Clay Matthews Jr. put up 111 tackles and 9 sacks at 36 years old. That's impressive stuff. He wouldn't retire until after his age 40 season as a linebacker, where he still managed to force 3 fumbles and get 6.5 sacks. Clay Matthews Jr. would end his career with over 1,500 tackles and 82 sacks while being recognized with the previously mentioned second All-Pro honors, and an additional 4 Pro Bowl selections on top of that. A truly gritty and honorable football career. It's easy to see where Clay and Casey Matthews got their football genes from. Now, we've talked about Jr. and the third, but what about the original Clay Matthews? That's right, this football family tree goes back yet another generation. Times were a little different back when Clay Matthews Sr. was playing ball. Clay Matthews Sr. was drafted in the 25th round of the 1949 NFL Draft by the Los Angeles Rams, and his position was just simply lineman. Offensive, defensive, it didn't matter. He was just going to go out there and maul people. Though he wouldn't do any of that for the team that drafted him, as he was traded away to the San Francisco 49ers before he even played a game for the Rams. He played offensive tackle for the 49ers in 1950, starting all 12 games that year. However, following the outbreak of the Korean War, Matthews enlisted in the Army and served as a paratrooper. After 3 years in the military, he returned to playing football for the 49ers in 1953, this time playing as a defensive end. Track stats are kind of limited back in the 1950s, but we do know that he recovered 9 fumbles and snagged 1 interception in his 3 years as a defensive end. In total, Clay Matthews Sr. played 4 years of NFL football, starting in 40 of the 45 games he played in. He was the head of a long line of NFL players, as we've already seen so far, but this is where I throw in yet another big twist. There is still one more branch of the Matthews football family to talk about. Clay Matthews Sr. not only had Clay Matthews Jr., but he was also the father to Bruce Matthews, who would go on to also play football at the professional level. It's only fitting that Bruce Matthews would play offensive line in the NFL. His father, Clay Matthews Sr., played both offensive and defensive line in the NFL, and his brother, Clay Matthews Jr., took the defensive genes from his father, playing 19 years as a pass-rushing linebacker, so that leaves the mauling offensive lineman genes for the younger brother, Bruce. Bruce Matthews was drafted in the first round of the 1983 NFL Draft by the Houston Oilers, 5 years after his brother was taken in the first round as well. Now, there isn't a lot of flashy stats I can throw at you since he played offensive line, but I hope I can still do his career some justice. Similar to his brother, Bruce Matthews was an Iron Man, playing a crazy 19 years in the NFL as an offensive lineman. Again, not the easiest position on the body. During those 19 years, he played every position on the offensive line, though most of his time would be spent at guard. He would ultimately play 296 games in the NFL, and he would start 293 of those. Those 19 seasons are more than any other offensive lineman in NFL history. Just to give you a clue on how talented and durable he was. This includes starting all 16 games as a center in 2001, his final season in the NFL, as a 40-year-old man. He would earn Pro Bowl honors that season as well, as a 40-year-old lineman, a Pro Bowler, just 1 year removed from his last All-Pro selection. When it was all said and done, Bruce Matthews had 14 Pro Bowls and 7 first-team All-Pro honors to his name, and he'd received the ultimate honor of being named to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And if you haven't figured out by now how this works, those Matthews football genes just keep on going, because Bruce Matthews added 3 more kids to the family tree who all played in the NFL. Let's start with the biggest name of Bruce Matthews' sons to play in the NFL, and that is Jake Matthews. Jake Matthews was drafted into the NFL as a first-round pick in 2014 by the Atlanta Falcons, 31 years after his father was drafted. If that 31 years sounds familiar, that's because it was the same gap between when Clay Matthews III was drafted and his father, Clay Matthews Jr., was drafted. So, the cousins share that in common. It means nothing, but you can thank me when you win your trivia night in the future. Anyways, like his father, Jake Matthews played offensive line in the NFL. More specifically, Jake Matthews played tackle. Meaning, once again, I don't have any interesting stats to provide you, but I can say he followed his father's footsteps as being an absolute Iron Man at the NFL level. He has only missed 1 game in his entire pro career. He has played in and started in 179 games over the span of 11 years. In that span, he's only played for the Falcons and has earned 1 Pro Bowl. He hasn't earned as many awards as his father, but Jake Matthews can certainly hang his hat proudly on what has been a solid decade-plus long career. Now let's take a look at Jake Matthews' brothers, starting with Kevin Matthews. Kevin Matthews is actually the oldest of Bruce Matthews' sons, having entered the NFL in 2010 as an undrafted free agent. He was signed by the Tennessee Titans to play center, though he would spend most of his rookie season on the practice squad, only starting in the final game of the year due to the starter getting injured. His next chance to start would come in 2013 for just 2 games, although he did see action in 14 games that year. An injury would end his final year with the Titans. Afterwards, he would bounce around a couple of training camps with the Washington Redskins and Carolina Panthers before officially ending his NFL career. And finally, we had the last son of Bruce Matthews, Mike Matthews. Keeping in line with this side of the family, Mike also played offensive line, though he had the shortest NFL stint of the entire Matthews family. He would sign as an undrafted free agent with the Browns in 2016, but he never made it onto the roster. In 2017, he made another appearance on a team's training camp roster, this time with the Steelers, but again, he didn't make the final roster. He was placed on injured reserve. In 2018, he once again made it onto a training camp roster, this time with the Miami Dolphins, but again, was unable to stick. And that's it. So maybe he doesn't belong on this list since he never actually made it into a game, but hey, everyone else got a mention, so why not Mike Matthews too? And so, there you have it, the entirety of the Matthews football family tree. Well, at least as it currently stands. You never know with these guys, it's made it through 3 generations, maybe we get a 4th generation of Matthews football. Audiences first got to start watching the Matthews family play NFL football back in 1950. To give you an idea of how long that's been, the first Whataburger fast food burger restaurant was opened that same year, as well as Dunkin' Donuts opening that same year, and Disney's Cinderella was first hitting theaters. In other words, the Matthews family has been around professional football for a very long time. And in that process, they've seen 2 brothers each play nearly 20-year playing careers, showcasing elite toughness, and both of those brothers each having multiple sons play at a high level in the NFL themselves. All around, the Matthews football family is one of the greatest families to ever play the game. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please consider giving the video a like and hitting the subscribe button so you can stay notified of future uploads. Let me know your thoughts on the Matthews football family down in the comments below. Were you aware of how deep this family tree went? Let me know. And with that, I seriously thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.